Hi, this is Tim from Nostalgic Writer. Today I'm going to be talking about the Kaweco Classic Sport. Anybody who is familiar with the Kaweco Classic Sport knows that it's an itty bitty pen that retails for between $25 and $35. Jet Pens is the only US reseller I found that had this particular color. And, well, this was my very first fountain pen, so I was pretty darn specific about that color. Alright, so let's talk about something simple like pen size. Not counting the cap, which is important, though, we're going to be looking at just a little pen. It is minuscule. It's down here at the section. It tapers down to roughly the same thickness as a pretty standard ballpoint pen. They come down to be about the same size at the base, or at the section there. It just kind of worked out that way. I wear roughly men's size small to medium in gloves. It just depends on the brand, so this should give you a pretty good idea of what small hands are going to be doing with this pen. It's barely big enough to be used. Barely big enough to be used. In fact, it's a little... Ooh, and of course, because I'm trying to... There we go. Says it all. It's a little hard to control when it's small like this. Something to be aware of. Now, if you have child-sized hands, then this will be a fine size, no problem. A lot of guys on the forums and stuff, they will really start complaining about things like, about the size of the pen, because it is. It's very small. If you're not used to gripping things that size, then it's a problem. Now, once we post with the cap, the pen is just a lot more manageable. It changes the center of balance pretty significantly. And I do mean pretty significantly. Let's see here. It's pretty top heavy right here. In fact, I couldn't. There is no, there's no way I could find a point to actually balance that out right there, and it actually becomes a little more back heavy. Erg. Yeah, becomes a little more back heavy, a little more balanced once you add the cap. It's almost like a regular pen. Go figure. Yeah, so it's a small little pen. If you need a small little pen, or you like a small little pen, or you just absolutely want to have this color scheme of gold and green, no complaints so far from me. And, I've had it for a while now, so like I said, no complaints. Alright, so let's talk about nib size real quick. I'm going to refocus the camera here so I can kind of zoom in a little bit for you. So, the Kaweco Classic Sport, this one is an extra fine. The pen does come in all your standard sizes, from extra fine to bold, no problem. So, as has been mentioned before in many other reviews by many other people, European extra fine pen is going to be the equivalent of a Japanese, maybe Indian, depends, fine. Right, so the lines are just a little thicker. Much like the people. That's a bad joke. Sorry. Anyhow. Yeah, it's an extra fine nib. You can see... Come on. There we go. Alright, so you can see that with the writing on the paper here. So... it's just little. It is. It's little. Um, and that was kind of something that I'd wanted when I went ahead and bought this pen. I wanted a really fine line. I was due in my last quarter, because we were on the quarter system of college, and I'd said, fine, I'm going to actually get a real pen this time. It's almost like my graduation gift. And so I did it. Worked out pretty well for me. Now, just as a comparison, what I did here was I drew a ballpoint line. This is a ballpoint, right? Yeah, Staples brand. Might be a gel pen. No, it's a ballpoint. But yeah, so you can see there the lines are pretty darn close. They're really similar in thickness. Let me see if I can't run that a little. Yeah, it's a little more like I like my K's. Alright, so I'm gonna bring that a little closer. Yeah, see? Super, super similar thickness. I mean, come on. That's almost a no-brainer. So, you know, if you want something that thin and, you know, kind of unobtrusive, absolutely. Go for it. I'd imagine the bold is quite a bit better. But on a little pen like this, and we're going to be talking about this in a second, with little ink capacity, the extra fine is pretty important, at least in my opinion. So we no longer need this. Haha, see that? Red background, green pen, we're thinking. Alright, so let's talk about a couple of the little characteristics, or some of the little finishes of the pen real quick before I go moving on, because I am ready to move on. Alright, like pretty much every other Kaweco pen, come on, you're not going to do it, are you? Okay, whatever. Pretty much every other Kaweco pen is going to have this kind of brass, looks gold, but it's brass, Kaweco logo. I think they changed it a bit. I'm not sure. I really, really like the detailing here. Oh, see, I got the focus all out of whack. Well, whatever. Blurry video for you. I really like having this little bit here. It just kind of adds a neat little accent, and then once you put the whole package together, I almost always make sure it sits like that. I don't know why. It just looks better to me. What you can do. Alright, so let's talk about ink, shall we? Now, when I ordered this, Kaweco had moved to this converter. This is just a SAC converter, proprietary for them, right? Because it's tiny. It's just a dinky little thing. It does not hold a lot of ink at all. And it's a total pain in the neck. Honest answer. It's a total pain in the neck. It works. It definitely works. It's just in order to fill it what I have to do, and thank you for a random blogger online who gave me the idea. I do not remember, unfortunately. So dip, squeeze, obviously, suck it back up, turn it over, flick, 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 get the air bubbles from the back end of the converter all the way up top, squeeze it to get the air out, and repeat, rinse and repeat way more times than you really should have to for a converter, and voila, it just works. Now, I haven't measured out the amount of ink this holds. All I can really say is it's not a lot. It isn't. If you wanted to, there's no air holes in the body or anything. You could go ahead and grease it up and run it as an eyedropper. Instead, that would increase your ink capacity well beyond what you would probably need in most situations, and that would solve that problem. But for me, I'm happy with the converter. It works for me. They did just recently release a piston converter for the Kaweco, I haven't tried it yet. I haven't tried it yet. So, yeah, we'll get there, hopefully. Now, as far as inks in general go, I haven't had much issue. It seems to flow really, really well. Then again, look at the size of the breather hole here. It's, for a little pen with a little nib, the breather hole on this thing is ridiculous. Look at that. Look at that. It's big. But that's a good thing. That is. Means inks generally flow pretty well. You're going to see that the little fins here, I don't even know what they're actually called, but they're also pretty spaced apart. You get a lot of airflow, a lot of good ink flow, and the only ink that I've ever had trouble with flow in with this pen, incidentally, happened to be a Kaweco. It was their little proprietary blue cartridge that they send out with the pen standard. I couldn't get that thing to work. I tried hard. I got at most a word out of it at one point, and it was so ballpoint blue to me that it was not worth keeping, and I just flushed the pen and used a different color. Alright, so probably the most important factor to me is carry. Yeah, most important factor to me is carry. If I'm going to have a pen, it's got to be portable. I got to be able to take it with me and do what I want to do. Now here's where my major gripe with this pen is. Kaweco has made the choice to make their pocket clips a separate accessory as opposed to an included feature on their sport pens. Anybody else see a problem with that? I do. Who else does that? I mean, come on, pocket clips are pretty much a universal standard for pens at this point, and this just doesn't have it. Now, luckily, this thing is so small that I've been able to fit it into the coin pocket. Or actually, technically, it's a watch pocket, but whatever. I've been able to fit this in there, barely, but I have, in my jeans. So, that got me more or less through school, and then just leaving it in a pocket all by itself. Now, even then, I slipped up sometimes, and you can probably see right there, it's got some dings. But altogether, it's actually held up pretty well. It's got some scratches, but it's maintained most of its finish. The biggest blemish really is where the end of the cap here actually rubs against the barrel of the pen. It's not that big a deal. It's actually held up very well to pocket use, but that's a big issue for me. It really is. It's frustrating because, they know better. They did it on purpose to soak more money out of you, and that's what bothers me. Honest answer. That's what bothers me. So compared to something like most of the other entry-level pens, the Lamy Safari, or Lamy? I don't know. The Pilot Metropolitan, some people argue with me on this one, but some of the Noodler's pens, this just doesn't carry as easily. Which is funny, because even though it's a little pen, compared to the rest of those, this is easily one of the prettier pens. It's just very, very streamlined. It's very attractive. It's got a good color complement going on, and they kind of dropped the ball with the pocket clip thing there. They really did. Now, I'm going to try this. Bear with my... Alright. Don't know if we see the pocket. If not, I'll just edit this out. It's gone. It's gone. What you gonna do? But that's kind of where I'm at. A couple of key features to think about. Bear with me, I'm gonna get that paper back. I lied, we need it back. A couple big things to think about is you are gonna be spending between 25 and 35 US dollars for just the pen. The converter itself is going to run you about 5. A little less, but once we count things like tax, that makes a difference. right? And so if you need the pocket clip, which, you know, is really nice looking, I just haven't, yeah, I just can't force myself to support that kind of profiteering. Is going to run you about another, depending on how nice you want it, 3 to 7. So I'm just going to go ahead and do another 5 for the pocket clip. Right, so altogether, assuming middle of the road price there, you're going to be looking at about a $40 pen. Yeah, all of a sudden it doesn't seem like such an entry-level pen anymore, does it? But on the pluses, there we go. On the pluses, it's got good ink flow. Seems to be pretty durable. It's pretty. It should be usable for most people. I mean, the only people who won't be able to use this are probably in the 7-foot tall range, and well, you're giants, not people, so haha. No, that's not true. But if you have bucket hands, this just isn't going to work for you. So, you know, usable for most people, though. I'd imagine women, children, and most adult men will be capable of using this pen, which I can't say for all. You know, so those are the pluses there. Do we have negatives? You bet we do. So some negatives for you there. We're going to be looking at accessories. Right? What did we already do there? We said this is a $40 pen because you have to pay for the converter and the pocket clip. Try out that piston converter and send me an email or a message. I want to know about it. But yeah, you know, the accessories are a pain. The size can be an issue, and related to that, we're looking at ink capacity. Because if I were running this as an eyedropper, you better believe it wouldn't be going in my pocket. It just wouldn't. Sorry. But yeah, so ink capacity, and honestly, that's about it. It's funny, you would think that I'd have stronger opinions on it after having as many other pens as I have now, but no, it's been a little workhorse for me, and it does well, and it just functions. One nice thing about having that ballpoint thin line, and I'll just grab the receipt that I was using with my notes, is I can do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? That's on receipt tape. Think about that for a minute. Extra fine line is going to play better with things like receipts. Just is. Sorry. It's just how that works. But yeah, it's kind of where we're at. It's definitely a pen I would recommend. Again, I would not have a problem with that. But would I say it's a beginner's pen? Not necessarily. Not anymore. No, this kind of puts us in, a higher price range for what I would consider a beginner's pen. No regrets, but it is what it is. So, until next time, which will hopefully be next Wednesday, this has been a pleasure, and let me know what you thought.